Here for the first race. Shay Davies left to screen on the pole. Paul Morris on the front row next to him. The dude on his name banner there across the top of the window.
So much success. In fact, he won this series back in 2017. As we wait to drop the flag on this field, it'll be 4 laps, then a competition caution halfway around. We go again for another 4 laps. And with time permitting, we'll have 2 laps, 3 laps, potentially 4 if we don't get any action. Hey, it's Boost Mobile Super Trucks, and we're back in Townsville. The green flag waves, and it's a bit of a orderly disappearance from the guys at the front there.
Might have been a few snooze in there, Matt. I thought we were going to have the Australian flag like the old school start there, but it was a green flag to get going. A couple of sluggish reactions there off the line.
Now, it's warned in the driver's briefing to take it nice and easy down to turn number 1. Now, that's pretty standard with the series, so they don't have too much carnage. This is a far narrower part of the course than what we do at most tracks. But after that, it's game on.
Looks like we're all getting down into turn 1 relatively scot-free. So it's Phil Foster making his debut in the Stadium Super Trucks out in front. He was sort of really learning yesterday, learning how to drive these trucks, and it's very difficult now to be leading his first race, but he's got through the first couple of corners pretty good. Never
driven one of these until yesterday. In fact, he sat in one for the first time Thursday night. But comes with a wealth of experience. He's been in Super 2 competition back in the early days. He's raced sprint cars, he's raced go-karts, he's raced everything there is to race in Australia. And it's been with Paul Morris's team now for the better part of 15 years. We're getting a chance to have a steer, but not for long because here comes the Australian drifting champion, Rob White, to take the lead.
Rob White, 2 wheels on the grass, making that pass manoeuvre on the inside of Phil Foster. Not sure there's a lot of grip on the grass, but these Stadium Super Trucks are up for all conditions. He's got the job done. He's into the lead. Phil Foster in second. They're almost 3 wide through the back of the circuit. This is a cool part of the track. Down here under brakes. Let's see if we can go 3 wide. Toby Price, a bit out of shape in his truck. He's on the outside.
They're swarming around Phil Foster. The Rockley truck parts entry drops back 2 positions now as the fast guys work their way through the field. Paul Wheel on the outside in the KMC Wheels number 50. So they work their way down to complete the first lap of Boost Mobile Super Trucks back in Townsville.
This is great, isn't it? Watch the attitude on the trucks. They hit the jumps. There's Toby Price. Paul Wheel missed that jump, opted against it. I didn't realise they were optional.
Well, if you can't commit to the ramp, you have to avoid it. Long as there's no advantage gained out of that, it's purely for safety. We can go 2 wide, but 3 wide might be stretching the friendship a bit.
Absolutely. So Paul Wheel there behind Richardson. There's Shay Davies behind him. Paul the Dude Morris coming through the field now. It's going to be interesting to see where they start picking off some of these competitors. We know Shay Davies and Paul Morris were the quickest 2 qualifying yesterday. So they've got some sort of cars that are definitely a little bit slower than them. So they're going to be watching them carve through the field after a sluggish start.
Shannon's ball cam shaky from the vibration of these 600 horsepower Chevy engines. They work their way down into what would normally be a fast section of the course. We put the water barriers out there to make it a tight left-hand turn. And there's a big ramp there ready to unsettle you if you come in way too hot. Richardson, Wheel and Davies on their way down into the back section of the circuit, but Rob White continues to lead in the number 11.
There's a great part of the track, Nolts, these double chicanes, if you like, and then this big, long right hand around the back of the circuit. Really asking a lot of these trucks. They take all the curb and some more because they've got lots of suspension travel, and they can really make the track a lot shorter than the supercars can. See Toby Price muscling the car out of there. Up into the last jump here before the last corner. So Toby Price getting really comfortable in that Boost Mobile truck.
And the aim here is not to get too much of an advantage with a competition caution. If you haven't watched this before in Boost Mobile Super Trucks, we compress the field down at lap number 4, give everybody a chance that may have had a spin or been caught up in an earlier skirmish to tag onto the field, but then load it up. It's like a 3-part race. We'll check out one of the many replays coming through the backside of the circuit. Toby Price, great to have him back in the series. And wherever he goes, there are the fans just swarming him this weekend at the Reed Park circuit. Rob White leads. Price is coming after him with Milburn. It was a last-minute call-up in that sign event Move Yourself entry. It's number 70. One that Craig Dontis was earmarked to drive for the 2nd time, but sadly for CD, he's back on the couch in Adelaide watching us.
Toby Price, fresh from winning the Fink Desert race in the trophy truck, so he's had to readapt into these Stadium Super Trucks. This is a cool part of the track. Those orange bollards in the background differentiates the circuit from the normal supercars layout we use just to slow them down and then get them set up for that jump that's on the direction change. That part of the circuit's modelled off a sequence of corners at the Australian Grand Prix track in Melbourne. It's a cool part of the track, and you see these trucks monstering the curves. Look at the attitude on the cars. lifting up the inside wheels, and then they've got to settle them, get them nice and square before they hit the jumps. We saw some awkward landings here. We see Shay Davies wide there, and that's a bit of a byproduct of landing off the jump a little bit high and wide and not being able to get the truck reset and back down on the apex of that turn.
So it's Richardson with Davies. There's a bit of contact happening there as we go to a replay of White.
Look at this.
Going back to his drifting roots here.
This is what I call backing it in. He's got opposite lock, turning into the corner, and then we've got an inside front lock, the left front, and here we talk about this awkward landing off that jump, and then for turn 10 you really need to keep the truck on the inside to see Shay Davies out high and wide behind Sean Richardson, both of them wide, missing the apex of 10 and really causing them a little bit less speed on the run up into turn 11.
So that's part one in the books. We had about 3 battle packs brewing in that race. There's the dude Paul Morris, who's had a mortgage on the series so far this year, won the overall World Championship back in 2017. Probably one of the hardest seasons we had, with I think only 22 races in 3 different countries, and went right down to the last race at Lake Elsinore, a baseball stadium, Jacko, of all places, to settle a score in 2017.
I got to ask you, Matt, have you been fortunate enough to jump in the passenger seat of these?
Not yet.
Because James Courtney got to jump in the Boost Mobile truck down at Simmons Plains and reckons it was just awesome. So I'm not sure if I'm that comfortable driving one. I'd like to jump in the passenger seat.
I think they'll have to build the truck around me. Rob White settles his field down with Toby Price. He'll need to settle this one down now because he's got some very experienced drivers behind. Here he is, climbing the ramp there.
Look at the suspension travel. As soon as they hit the jump, the wheels drop down into full droop. You can see how heavy the suspension is. Massive shock absorber, spring suspension arms, and they have to be so strong to land these cars off those big jumps. You see the suspension absorb it all, and the ride inside the cabin is pretty good for the drivers.
That's the shot I like. There's several trucks in the air just like that, and the crowds know where to sit when the Boost Mobile Super Trucks are out on this Reed Park course. Their second only start here in North Queensland. Great to have him back on a street circuit as we get set to go back into the second part of this race. Another one to come up today, but then a big gap until tomorrow. So I don't want to put the commentator's curse, because I've done that forever. Hopefully they keep this clean and green to the end.
That's going to often be the,
Should I let myself
the opposite.
out? Or?
Yes, yeah. You know what this is like. There's always a bit of red mist here. And look, like I said, Shay Davies and Paul Morris, they're buried deep in the pack. They've got the fastest 2 trucks from qualifying yesterday. Be looking to make a few moves here as take the last jump on the pit straight, and the green flag's away. We're back underway here in Townsville. Toby Price in second. He's already making a move on the inside into this flat-out kink that we call turn 1, and then the run. He's got the job done through 1 and into turn 2.
So Price will move across to protect. He's got Shay Davies at Mount Margaret Estates entry. The 88 will move to second place here, but it does open up really wide here. But if you're on the outside, you tend to drop a couple of positions here, and that's exactly what's happened to White, as Melbourne will relieve him of 3rd position. So they work their way off Charters Towers Road. It's a bit of bump and grind between White and Wheel. Richardson on the outside, and here comes the dude.
What about the restart from Shay Davies? Just 5th to 2nd in turn 2. Great job, Shay Davies. He punched a big hole down the inside into turn 2, and he's right on the back of Toby Price now through this awesome change of direction that we spoke of. Look at them fly over the jump. That's a cool sight.
Love this section of the course too, and these trucks have been told to stay off the grass. Easier said than done as makes the move on White. So here they come. There's no point trying to go too hard too early in the race. There's still another comp caution to come in this race. Across the ramp, you can really feel the trucks thump into these aluminium ramps. Replay down here at turn 6, and cool shot.
Up on 2 wheels, and that's not even involving the jump nolts. That's just through the turn. How cool is that?
There'll be a couple of guys watching in America right now going, when did this kid learn to do this?
Oh, that's great. Great shot there. Shay Davies manhandling the truck, getting ready for the jump, and back to the live action here. Paul Morris behind Paul Wheel. They all pack up nice and tight into turn 13, the last corner on the track. One more jump to navigate before the start-finish line.
We did have 2 down here the first time we came in 2016. Toby Price leads. Here comes Shay Davies, who's topped the timesheets all season long. There's an extra bonus point for claiming the pole position, but the penalty for that is you go to the back of the grid for race number 1. Oh, that's White playing knock-knock who's there with Paul Morris at turn 2. And Richardson splits them up right now.
They're not too bad for just a little bit of front and rear contact like that. We often see the fiberglass bonnets get torn up when they're a bit heavier in the contact, but a little bit of tap-tap's not too bad. Doesn't cause too much dramas.
Depends on who you hit, I guess.
It's always the way.
We know there's been some feeling between Richardson and Morris for several seasons now. And Richardson, the cagey Englishman, who respects everyone but fears none, if that makes sense.
This is one of the trickiest jumps on the track, I reckon, Nolts. They come out of that long loaded corner, so they've got a lot of load on the left rear. Then they've got to square the truck up for the jump, and then there's another corner straight away. So pretty difficult corner to master there. And Toby Price holding his own here in front of Shea Davies. Like we said, Shea Davies was the quick man yesterday. Toby Price currently got the fastest lap of the race, doing a great job out front.
Price was one of the originals when we went to Adelaide back in 2015, went and raced in the American side of the series, and they loved him over there as well. He made a very interesting comment yesterday. He's been on 2 wheels for so long, but hinted at moving his way onto 4 wheels for the rest of his career. What's the old saying? With age comes a cage.
Well, I reckon he said he'd race anything, including a lawnmower there. So, look, I reckon Toby's just one of those guys who's got the attitude. He'd love to try everything. Loves his car racing, loves his bike racing, and he's a legend in this part of the world, right through Australia. You know, his 2-wheel records is awesome, winning the Dakar and also the Fink race as well. Cool shot here on a replay. Oh, look how close that was to our camera on the wall.
That was Travis Milburn. When you see dust come up, you know you're pretty much on the concrete wall on the way down to that turn 11 hairpin.
These trucks don't have the side mirrors, Nolt, so in a Supercar or a Toyota 86, those mirrors would have been nicked off on the side of the concrete wall there for sure.
You buy yourself an extra 15 centimetres of track space, don't you? Across the Battery World ramp, now it starts to tighten up at the front. Milburn, who's much happier today with the sign event entry, truck number 70, up in a 3rd place. It's his best ever result. In fact, he come close to winning the final race at Adelaide 2 years ago. He was 3rd coming into the final corner. In fact, he was 5th coming into the final corner. And when he came out, he almost got the race win. One of our most popular videos on social media. They work their way down again. So Davies will position himself nicely here for that final segment of the race.
I watched Shea get a better run over that last jump, and Toby Price went defensive on the run down there into turn number 11. Hit the last jump here before the final turn. Shea Davies really keen. He's going to look up the inside. No, he thought better of it. So Toby Price maintains the lead. Sideways onto the straight. 600 horsepower Chevrolet engines in these trucks. Getting the power to the ground creates a lot of oversteer and a lot of wheel spin.
So a cool shot then side on with the ramp. In fact, we had a camera attached to a ramp a few seasons ago. It was like a 21-gun salute when they hit at us. Now Davies pulls to the outside. Price has seen this all before, but Davies has managed to put this truck in positions that they're not really used to going to. We'll tuck in behind the number 87. Plenty of time on his side still, but he's just starting to turn up the heat a little bit here.
This is great racing. Toby Price went on the defence. He jumped on the brakes. Shea Davies has gone deeper, so Toby had to get off the brakes to maintain that track position, and these guys are having a great duel. Shea just missed the apex there, and he's dropped a couple truck lengths back, but Toby Price doing a ripper job out in front. Hits this jump nicely. Great shots here, curb cam. Look at that.
Would you agree Davies got a lot more confidence through that corner with the barrier? He seems to come in a lot hotter than everyone else.
Yeah, he's got that master that you can tell by the way he's just handling the truck. It looks like he can position it where he wants it to be. Although Toby Price, yeah, they're maintaining that couple of truck length gap here. But this is this tricky corner. Exit in here, getting the truck straight. See how narrow Shea Davies was by comparison to Toby Price. So he's got the car, or the truck I should say, positioned in a better spot to get a nice run through turn 10.
Milburn sitting back in 3rd position, a big gap to the rest of the field right now, but that should compress soon. Castle Hill in the background of the shot as they work their way. This is the permanent part of the circuit. This is here all year long, and it's used for Motorcana style events and driver training during the year, so it is a multi-purpose facility. The Reed Park circuit, some debris on the right-hand side. That's pretty common in this series.
And then you can see back on the streets, you can see the painted lines when we're back on the normal street part of the circuit. So it's a cool mix of a hybrid street circuit and also purpose-built stuff. It's really cool.
No one thought we'd ever get rain up here at any time when we come here in July. We got it a couple of years ago, really made it skatey and made it a wild race. Back in 2019, we had a shower of rain yesterday, but this is the Townsville we remember.
Do the trucks run in the rain?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that'd be quite interesting. Maybe we need to find the irrigation system around here and get the sprinklers happening in the next competition caution.
They have their limits. We had a race at Watkins Glen that was virtually underwater, and they decided to park that up and then run it later in the afternoon. Well, they can run on damp to wet conditions and they're great fun.
I tell you what, you've been all around the world with this. I'm getting a bit sick of all the tracks you're naming, Nolts. You've been to plenty of ripper tracks around America. Watkins Glen, all the tracks around the place. You've been all around the joint, eh?
Detroit, Texas, Charlotte, Long Beach. We just want to go back there one day. Through the final section. So we're on the final lap of this race. We've reached the time certain point. So it's go time now for Davies, but I think Price has got him covered here in race number 1.
I'm surprised Paul Morris back in 4th. He hasn't been able to catch this leading trio, so been interesting to see that. Toby Price done a great job. He still maintains the fastest lap of the race, so he's been able to hold his own. He's done a great job, eyes forward, and you can see there he'd be pretty happy with this one. He just got last corner to go and another jump after this one. Shay Davies, awkward jump angle there.
Has to lean. You're not going to catch this guy today. Haven't seen him since Adelaide 2020. It doesn't matter. Put him into anything, and he's successful. Toby Price picks up the win. Race number 1 of Boost Mobile Super Trucks here today in Townsville in a rather clean affair from Davies and Milburn. The top 3, they're a long way ahead, Jacko, of Paul Morris and Paul Wheel, who finished 4th and 5th in race number 1.
Yeah, perhaps they got into a bit of a battle for 4th and 5th, the two Pauls, Morris and Wheel, because looking at their lap times, they actually weren't that far off the pace, but the leading trio certainly gapped the rest of the field. And it's going to be interesting the next couple of races. We'll mix up a few of the grids there, and you know, it was a great job, Shay Davies, to get up to 2nd, but Toby Price was the big winner there. Good job.
Awesome result. Give it to Toby Price. In race number 1 from Davies, Milburn, Morris, Wheel and Richardson, the top 6. Rob White was 7th after leading the race. Earlier today, Dave Casey and Phil Foster went back to the pits with a couple of laps remaining in his debut weekend in Boost Mobile Super Trucks.